But how have you been though? Before I ask you that all important question, I just want to find out how you've been.
Yeah, I've been good. I've been really, really busy. Like I haven't really sat down or relaxed, and done anything that isn't music and touring since like May, April. So it was a really full on summer of shows and releasing this new record and networking and doing all of the stuff. So now I did my basically finale show of the tour and my album release, and now I'm feeling like a literal release from that. And now I'm feeling really great, because it's kind of all done, and now I can like hang out in my mountains for a little bit. Yeah, how are you doing?
Awesome,
I'm
awesome.
really
Okay,
glad
so
to see
let's
you
just.
again. This is great. Thank you for having me on today and for enjoying the record.
No, absolutely, and that's why I wanted to take my time with it. When Jasper reached out the first time, I don't know if he was able to communicate that to you, but as I
Okay.
often do with these things, I want it to be worth your time. I want it to be worth both our time. So I had to go listen to the record. Incredible. Again, we're going to get into it in a bit, but so I say thank you to artists every single time because I know the process. I know how, up a hill it could feel sometimes, but to just go through all of that and put out a body of work that's cohesive, that's daring, that's bold. I want to say thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed the record. I'm going to tell you a few of my favorite songs in there as we proceed. But thank you for making this record. I think it's a coming of age for you. I think it's kind of it's so okay. I'll back up a bit.
Well, thank you. This is really nice to hear today. Like I was saying when I first got on, Saturday was my album release show in my
Right,
hometown.
right,
The Pages album release show in Cranbrook, and I'm definitely on a high from
right.
that. But then there are moments where I'm like, what
Yeah.
now? That feeling can be kind of scary. So this it's nice to chat about this today.
Absolutely. Okay, so just tell me about before I start to ask you all of the things I've prepared. Tell me about this Cranbrook show, what it meant to you, what it means to you still, and what your experience of it was.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm from this Cranbrook's my hometown, and I grew up here, and I've left many times. My song Mountain Air is kind of about that's on my first album, my debut album, about moving abroad, living in Ireland, and then coming home to the mountains. And that's continued to be a theme of my life. I'm always like leaving and going to Toronto a lot now, New York, LA, wherever I might be, but there's something really strong that pulls me back home to the mountains. It's like a magical geological pull that just brings me back. So there's something about here that's really, really special to me. And it's just like the feeling of growing up here and yeah, familiarity, and then the mountains, the air here. It's such a special place to live and to have grown up. So over time, as I've been doing my music, I've been cultivating a really special fan base here of people that know me from my time growing up here, from being a kid, from my parents who also basically grew up here. But now I'm also getting like new people that I'm meeting and connecting with just off of like my music or being like a presence in the community. I go to a lot of events and I'm kind of a socialite, if you will. So I do a lot of things, and I'm meeting a lot of people through just now where I'm at now. So I have this special fan base that's people who knew me from when I grew up and know my family, and also my family are here. And then people that I've connected with from just being myself and meeting people, who didn't know me from my growing up. So it's really very cool. And now they see me now and they see who I am now. So it's like this mix of people who see me now and don't have any bias, but then people who have loved me forever and ever and will be my like, my OG supporters. Like they're always there and they'll always be there. Now I have these new people. And that's so special. So this show was that. It was all of those people and new people that I'm meeting. and fans of the opening band that I had come on the show as well. So I like crafted this whole show from the ground up. I did a similar show in Toronto for my album release where I built the whole entire show, um, and it sold out. And yeah, it was really special. I had like a lot of stage design. Like if you know, you know my branding, so you know I'm really into old stuff. I like old things.
Yes.
So I had an antique store, a vintage store in town, like sponsor me, twice as nice. They sponsored all the props, and we put together just like an experience for people, and that's what I want people to
Right.
have at my shows. So this album was, this release, this show was like that, but just like bigger and even deeper
Right.
into my world. So I got to really go full on. The theater that I played at there, I've been playing there since I was 5. Like I've been singing there and doing
Hmm.
shows and singing in choirs and playing band. Like I used to play flute, and I've been playing on that stage for over 20 years. And so to do that
Right.
show there just was, it was really special and it was amazing. So shout out again to Key City Theater as well for all their help and support on my career. And that show was like just like a true reflection of community and of support for the arts.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So we're going to talk about your branding, just what you spoke about just now, because I think it's seeped into more than your last. So I talked to you the last time at Home is Where the Music Is. That's the last album
Yeah,
we talked about.
2022.
Yeah, 20. Oh my word.
Yeah.
Time. Where does
I
time
know.
go? Um, but yeah, so we're gonna get into that branding because I think much more, at least in my opinion, this album starts off so strongly in that pocket of it's almost like a throwback to, like really classical type, alt country, whatever genre you want to put it.
Yeah.
And what I have noticed as well is that at some point in the album, I think starting from Colors, you get into this a whole other kind of vibe. So the album is almost like yeah,
Well, that's
I
why
found
it
that
is the
very,
2 chapters.
yeah.
Yeah.
So so on a vinyl that would make sense, but when you're listening to it on a like on Bandcamp or whatnot, it takes you through this journey, and Colors is almost positioned in such a beautiful place. They transitions you beautifully to the rest of the album, which is just, fascinating. So, since when we last spoke, tell me what has happened to you as an artist and what has gotten you here, that pages became important for you to write.
Yeah, I think I'm now at a place where I know my branding more and I know my voice, I know my sound, my message, stronger than ever. So
Right,
that is something that I'm like, okay, I really want to lean into this part of myself, which is just a deeper level of who I've always been, but also to reflect on what's got me to this point. So
right,
with the song The Pages, it's kind of about like I'm singing about wanting to go forward and turn the page and know what the story's going to be, but also like appreciating the story thus far and not trying to find out what's going to happen next, but rather just enjoy the journey and enjoy the moment.
right.
So
Oh,
that's kind of the theme of the whole album, like loosely, is
right,
like reflecting on my journey and my story to get me to here, but really being like, I have arrived. Being like, I
right.
am the big star that I always wanted to be. And like, I
Gotcha.
am a positive, empowering, optimistic. I'm a serial optimist. So the song Amber is like at the end of the song, there's a big message across the album that's radiate genuine energy. And like,
Okay.
that's in the notes of the album as well, which I wanted to show on camera.
Bring it on. Okay.
And there's like notes in the album about like
Okay.
radiating genuine energy and kind of being who you want to be. Thing I did like a bunch of credits and stuff, and I
Okay.
think that's like the message that I wanted to put out as well with this album. But I'm like I wasn't afraid of like fully going for it, and I think that's what's happened
Mm-hmm.
to me now as an artist. I'm less afraid of um, of like being myself, and I'm less afraid of being perceived. I'm less afraid of being seen, and I'm letting myself step into the light.
Fantastic. Okay, so I have a just a follow up question here. What would you say? Where has the fear gone? When you say you're less
Mm-hmm.
afraid, how have you shed off all of that inhibition that was once there or used to be there?
Well, I think it's like a mix of just allowing myself to be perceived and not worrying so much about what everyone is saying. Um, that I think that was a big thing, and like we have to go through that journey as artists where we're like absorbing everything that everyone's saying and taking all the feedback and the criticism and the you should do this and you should do that, um, or what are you doing, like that is kind of the thing that we inevitably have to shake off. Otherwise, like we'll never step into a new level of artistry. We'll never allow ourselves to be fully vulnerable, to be like fully authentic. This word keeps coming up a lot, and I think it's like, yeah, it's a real theme right now across all artists, especially with online stuff, is to just like that weird idea that you had when you were a kid, like that might still be there, like let it out. So I think some
Right.
of these like things that I
Right.
was like, oh, that's way too dramatic. I'm just like leaning into the drama now, and I'm not really
Right.
sure like where it's gone or like what I've done with that energy. Um, but
Right.
like certainly I've just like stepped into more power now, and I am allowing myself to be more vulnerable publicly. Yeah,
Good. Good for
yeah.
you. I'm
Thanks.
glad. It shows in the music. So you've described the pages as a musical journal. I'm interested to know what. Again, I think you touched upon this just a while back, but why did you approach the music in that kind of metaphor, in that kind of theme? Why was it important for you to do that?
Well, I think that it kind of happened as I was finishing the album. So I didn't
Right.
actually write the album in that context. All of the songs were sort of like pieces that came together. A lot of it from being like alone on the road, um, and being like I went to Nashville all by myself. I went to New York all by myself. Like literally didn't know anyone and just rocked up. And like that's very much my style. Um, I'm kind of fearless that way. That's how I moved to Ireland. I just left and I just rocked up by myself and just made my way. So I think like I'm alone a lot and I go to my journal. Like I write in my journal a lot to come back to myself. I also like write songs to come back to myself. So I think that kind of would just like I didn't even write it in that way. It just sort of fell into place that way. And when I was writing the pages and Big Star, I wrote them at the same time in Nashville, and I knew Big Star was a good song. I was like, okay, that's good, but I didn't really think much of the pages. Honestly, like I was like, I don't really know about this song. Like it was kind of not really finished, and I didn't really know. And then I showed it to Julian, who's my partner who co-produced this album, and he was like, "That song Pages is like the one. That one's a single. That one's really good. Like we should finish that song. We should write more." So we like wrote the bridge together. He like helped me figure out the chords for the bridge, and I was like, "Oh wow, I'm gonna finish the album around this song. I'm gonna like develop the album and the theme and the branding around this song." I didn't even know like what I was going to do. I didn't know like how it was going to look, the album, like the artwork, like I really didn't know. I just had a collection of songs. And then as soon as he was like, yeah, this song, The Pages, is the one, I was like, yeah, okay. And I'm going to build the whole world of the album around it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to talk about what connects, if you think anything at all connects your former project to this. Is there any thread that you can find from Home is Where the Music Is to what is happening in the pages in terms of themes, in terms of, is it a continuum or this is just a new kind of evolution that you're in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's definitely a new evolution.
Right,
It's like I'm more set in my sound. On my first and second records, so Self Reflections being my first one, and then Home,
right,
I was still kind of like playing around with a lot of different genres, I feel. And
right.
I was like hiring producers. I feel like my first album is more similar sonically to this one.
Okay,
Because when I did Home is Where the Music Is, I went to Los Angeles to produce it and worked with like the team there. And the sound of LA and like the city, I think, is a little bit more reflected in some of the songs there.
right,
It's like, yeah, and even when I was writing those songs, because that's kind of where I was like spending a lot of time there, and in Ireland too. So I think like
mm,
the writing was a little bit more like travel focused for that album.
right. Okay,
Um, and there's definitely themes of travel again on the pages, so that's definitely something that's always going to be a consistent theme in my music because I'm always traveling and I'm always on the move. Um, I think there's a little bit of a tie sonically with like the ballads. So there's a ballad at the end of my last album called Glory Day, and
mm-hmm.
that song is similar to the first ballad that I did called Contrast on my first album, and then Open Door on Pages.
Yes,
So that
I
is
know
something
that
that
one.
I think I might now do on across all my albums, and I think that was also intentional in why I put Open Door on this album, is because I always like to put a deeper piano ballad on my album because that's such a big part of like my writing when I was a child, when I was like young,
Right,
when I was like 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, like these times when I was in piano lessons and I didn't quite know how to play guitar yet because I started playing guitar when I was 12. But I've been
right.
writing since I was like 7. So
Gotcha.
when I started writing, it would be on the piano, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I hadn't heard Taylor Swift yet. I like didn't really know how to write a folk song or know much about folk songs. I would just write these like elaborate, dramatic piano ballads. So I think that's something that I've kind of kept doing, and
Mm-hmm.
that is something that's consistent across all my projects so far. There's always like one special, just me and the piano.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so you've described pages as each song being like a page from your life, right? If you were gonna pick a particular page, let's say, being reflected in the song, what would you think most describes where you are right now? So if you looked at that body of work that you just put out, what is most reflective of where you are right now?
I think probably Big Star. Um, being that like that song, I don't want the like meaning or themes to get like misconstrued because that song is not about me like wanting to make it or trying to make it. That song is about growing up in the mountains and growing up in a small town and seeking something bigger, something more, something like brighter. And it's about like there's a lyric in there that's like mountains can't hold me, and so I search for the city pleasures. There's this crazy contrast between like seeing these ginormous mountains where I live. They're beautiful and like being centered right in the Rocky Mountains. They're like prominent and like in your face and like big and beautiful. But then I go to like Toronto or New York, and there are these giant skyscrapers, and they're like, and I have this like very interesting contrast of like these huge mountains that I grew up with, and now I'm by these like huge skyscrapers. And there's this duality. There's these like two parts of me that I have, um, that no one else that I really know or have met ever experiences this exact thing. And I think that's what makes artists so cool is we have all these like unique experiences. I think that's also what sets artists apart. And that's why my story is something I would never ever change. And it's so important to me that I had this upbringing because my story is unique in that way that I grew up in a very specific area of the world. Yeah, this upbringing that I have from the mountains and the Kootenays is just like it's really special, but now I have this whole other life that's the city. And I have this whole other life that's travel and experience and big star energy, rock star energy. So that's why that song is so important. And I want people to know the message of that song. It's not about me being like, oh, I want to be a big star and I want to make it. It's about the duality of like growing up in a small town, specifically in this area in the mountains, and seeking something bigger. And the big star title is like just something that just like felt like it just made sense. And it's almost kind of like a musical song. Like it's a little bit silly, it's a little bit like theatrical. The music video as well depicts like all of that kind of stuff. So that song I feel is like the it's like my theme song right now.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So again, there's just interesting themes across this album. So love, loss, growth, resilience. Is there, would you say, at any point in time, I know that you've gone through this evolution of coming to this place where you don't necessarily care about perception anymore. But when you were making that final cut to say this was what's going to be on the record, was there anyone that you were a little bit hesitant about to say, "Hey, I don't want to put this out," or it was too personal and stuff like that?
A little, I think. Some of the songs, like yeah, I mean, even with Big Star, like I was like, I don't want people to think that this is just like a vanity album or that like I'm like full of myself or anything like that. I think that those feelings come across from artists like all the time. We're like worried that people are going to think we are yeah too full of ourselves or something like that. So I had for sure I had like that fear and that emotion a little bit. And then with the song Your Muse, that song is like specifically about an experience that I had with someone from my town who called me one day, sent me a message, sent me this like crazy message that like I didn't know what I was doing and my show was really bad and people aren't going to come to my show. And like, he's just this like 60-year-old man that like wanted to come in and just like, I don't even know, knock me down a peg, like make himself feel better. I'm not sure. It's out of my world now, but I did feel really impacted by it. And so the song Your Muse, there's like a lyric in the song that's like, took a call from a man who said, you don't know what you're doing. And that obviously happens still in like various ways in the music industry, and being a woman in the music industry, being a solo artist is all very hard. So I think that song, I was like a little bit nervous about putting something out like that was really specific. But I think that that's important to be talked about too.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. So I'm interested to talk about. Okay, I'm gonna get to the side B of the record, but when we look at you've described folks like Alanis and Sheryl Crow, Alanis Morissette and Sheryl Crow as being inspiration. I'm curious, what about that '90s edge type of rock, country rock, you might call it? What about that? Do you love? What about that inspires you?
Cool. That's a great question. Yeah, I think it's really cool to play these songs on stage because I get to just like fully like rock out, and it's a power. It's like a you feel empowered. Like it's so that theme of like resilience. I feel like I'm like, yes, like I'm doing this like big rock star thing, and those songs, they feel really cool. There's like very guitar driven, so there's like a lot of energy, and they also just feel like still lived in, if that makes sense. Like the songs aren't like super modern. They still feel like, I don't know, like old blue jeans or something. Like they're very like lived in songs, and I think that's why I love 90s music specifically, is like it has that lived in feeling, but also tends to be a little bit more heavier than some of the like 70s rock that I listen to. Um, like as in, I don't know, it has this like grander sound of like grunge, kind of like guitar driven. It's mastered louder. This album is also mastered very loud. Um, so like it has this like louder, bigger sound. And I started to step into that on my last two singles that I put out before this album, Feeling It Again and Crawl. So I started to step into that world before I did this album already. It's kind of also like early 2000s. There's a little bit of that on this album too, like early 2000s, like soft rock.
So again, all that you've said accurate. When I was listening to it, I was thrown back to this whole vintage sound, Americana, this kind of raw folk energy
Yeah.
sound. So again, how did you and Julian, like, what was the process in the studio? How did you guys capture when you were actually making the music of it? How were you guys able to capture that on record? What was that process like?
Yeah, I mean, that was like us kind of knowing that we needed to work with different people. Like we hired different people I hired different people to come on to the project and play guitar. Um, but Julian, like, he is a drummer, and so he played all the drum parts, and we centered a lot of the songs around that. Like, I just played the guitar, the acoustic guitar, and then he would build the song around that, and he would come in and build the drums, and then we'd have someone come in and fill the guitar in, and like the bass and pedal steel and various other instruments that we have on the record. But we wanted to capture that like live feeling still. So I played it, and then he played the drums, and we tried to make it so that it was sounded kind of like a live off the floor without doing that. Um, and we kind of let our imagination go a little bit with this one. And that's on like the song Like a Rock. Um, I did some psychedelics when we did the vocals for that song.
Right.
And I really like at the end of the song, if you listen specifically, this is an Easter egg little moment. Um, if you
Okay.
listen very specifically to the end of that song, there is like vocals at the end where I'm like going crazy. I'm just like, I don't even know where it came from. I just like, the mic was looking like a crystal ball, and I just like fully let out like this scream, and I was like, yeah! And it was like so big, and I was like, whoa! Like it was so cool to do that. And then there's like some funny little things at the end that we actually kept in there. So you should now go back and listen to that song.
I will. I certainly will. As soon as we are done this, I'm going to jump up and go
So that's
listen.
like at the end in the outro, kind of like bridge part at the end of Like a Rock. So we like did some more experimental stuff, and then also with the transition of Colors Amber, being that that is technically one track. Like on the vinyl, when I got the master back, that is technically just one track.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we mastered it as one. Of course, when you listen to it on Bandcamp or on streaming, it's
Hmm.
two, and it's two separate ones. But on the vinyl, it's actually just one track that, and on the tape cassette, it's just one track that
Oh,
fully
gotcha.
flows into the next one. So
Gotcha.
that was something that we worked out too. We were like, okay, this is really cool. Like, I hear this on like older records where they like
Mm.
seamlessly transition into another song. So we like made that happen, and like these were all things that felt like, yeah, I don't know, just like classic but also like experimental, which I think 90s music really is. And I didn't mean for this album necessarily to go in that direction, but it did for sure.
Right, right. So I had colors. There's a good way to get into colors, but I was listening to the record, and colors came on, and it was such a sweet melody. Of course, stripped down, just sweet in your ears, and then it ends, and I'm like, no, don't end, and I'm like, I have to listen to that again, and then I went back, and then I got what Colors was trying to do, as just as I explained to you on a vinyl, it would kind of make sense, but since I was listening to digitally, but just I want you to tell me about Colors, the song itself, how it became that transition song, and yeah, what you think of it. I love it. I think it's just the right amount of sweetness, really.
Yeah, thank you. That song, one day, one evening, it was really sunny, and I was sitting in my front porch. I have like a little solarium or like a sunroom. And I was sitting in there, and I was just kind of playing around with like riffs on my guitar, and like
Right.
exercises that I do. And that song just kind of came out, and I just started writing it more. The lyrics came out because I was telling someone what I thought my aura was, which is
Mm.
yellow, or like sun, like amber yellow. Um, so I was like, oh, but I'm other colors too. Like I'm all of the things. So the theme of that song was that I'm like all of the different colors. I'm like deep and blue and green and vast and bright and yellow. So it was like a kind of like a reflection of like my different parts of me and my different sides. So I wrote a little bit of it, and then I just kept playing it just for fun. Like I just kept playing it all the time, but it never really developed into a full song. I never really had like a verse for it.
Right.
That entire thing is basically just like a chorus,
Mm.
or the chorus that I wrote, or the only part that I wrote. And I kept trying to write more. I kept trying to write more, and it just wasn't coming. And so I put it aside. Um, and then I was like, oh my gosh, colors would be the perfect like little instrumental kind of break,
Right.
almost like a theme song. Like on Home Is Where the Music Is, I have that. Here's a tie. On Home Is Where the Music Is, I have that first song, which is called Home,
Right.
and it's actually the same thing. It's only a chorus. It's I don't even remember how that song goes right now. Oh, music is home. I'm
Mm.
never alone. And that
Right.
was just like that quick little like 1 minute song, and then my dad is speaking on the end of it as well. And I wanted to have a similar thing on this album in like a theme song or kind of thing.
Right.
So I was like, oh, colors, perfect. And then Julian and I started writing Amber together,
Okay.
and I was like, what song could flow from colors? Like, what song could flow after that? And then we were like, oh, Amber, it's perfect.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
it starts on the A, we can make colors finish on the A chord and then like flow into each other. And it's so cool with the two titles of the names.
Of course. Of
So,
course.
like, yeah, that's kind of how colors came to be, and now it's perfect on stage as well. Like it's so fun to play that song live and do the harmonies and like really capture people's hearts with the song.
Yeah,
And
I
then
can
like
imagine.
unleashed with Amber and just like fully like the ending of that song is huge. Like we played it on Saturday, and the ending of that song is just like so expansive. So it kind of starts out like trickling, beautiful,
Yeah.
watery. There's like the rain stick in colors, and then just
Right.
opens up into this like
Yeah.
expansive song with Amber.
Yeah. Fantastic. Very well executed.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. I actually
Oh,
haven't answered that type of question at all in any of my interviews, so that was really cool to get to like dive
right.
into that a bit.
Awesome. Awesome. So you just spoke about performance. So this is a good way to talk about just how much you've been on the road, how much you've toured. Just reading the snippet. So over 500 shows from NXNE to all the places. What have you taken from the road in terms of just being able to interact with audiences? I think I saw a post of yours on Instagram when you were in Toronto, when you're just excited about people coming to the show, about young girls coming to the show to come see you play. I'm interested to know when you're on the road, what's the most important thing for you?
Yeah, I think like being on the road so much has shown me all the different sides of the things that can happen, and now the most important thing is stress reduction. Staying
Right. Okay.
stress free and staying calm and staying chill and like
Right.
trusting that things will work out and trusting that I will get through whatever happens and not being stressed about it, because that only makes it harder for me, makes it harder for my band, the people I'm working with, my dad, who's my roadie, who comes across on a lot of my shows with me
Nice.
and drives my tour bus, which is our travel trailer.
Nice.
But if I'm stressed, like he gets stressed. And same with like my bands and stuff. So now I've realized that the most important thing is just to stay relaxed and to stay calm. And then
Mhm.
all that matters is that like the show goes on
Right.
and there's noises, that there's sound, and that we can play.
At some point, it comes down to that, right? Everything else can.
So like when that all clicks into place, then I'm like, okay, and then I just can like play the show and
Right.
give my best self. If I'm stressed about all the little details and stuff, it does me no good for when I finally get on stage.
Right.
So
Right.
then, yeah, I get to just like fully let it all out and release it all on stage. That show that you were talking about, where I was talking about like young girls and stuff, I think that might have been the show that I did with Pearl in Vancouver last
Okay.
Friday, which was like
Okay.
such an amazing show. I opened for this artist named Pearl, and on her tour, which is like we've followed each other for quite a while on TikTok, and she in the
Right.
last like 2 years has like blown up. Like she's
Okay.
got almost 1 million followers on TikTok, and she's doing so well. I love her music. I love her presence, and just like what she stands for and who she is. So doing that show was amazing, and getting to connect with her fans, which were the room was like all like young women. Like it was all ages show from the age of like 16 to like 30, and
Right.
getting to like sing for them, and they're just like cheering me on and like we love you, like this is the best night of our lives. Like it was just like that energy was like what I want to encapsulate. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this is like I've tapped into a bit of a new demographic of like young women. So my music is classic, so I definitely have an older audience as well, like a 50 plus or whatever audience that loves like classic rock and that
Right.
vintage sound. But now I also have this like younger audience too, and so I have opened up my demographic even more, and now I have more fans.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. That's great. I want to talk about your so the endorsements that you've got. I read that you've gotten endorsements from Yamaha
Yeah,
and Golden Guitars.
and Aria guitars in Japan.
Oh, look at that. Of course, this has come after a long journey to get here. But what does that mean for your career at this point? What does those type of endorsements mean for you?
Hmm. Yeah, I think like I think I always thought when I got an endorsement deal that it would be like some big, like extravagant like thing. But honestly, Yamaha like slid into my DMs and they were like, "Hey, Madison," and it was very chill and like very relaxed. And like I think that it's less about like this like big announcement, like ta-da, and it's more about like, wow, look at this relationship I've built. So I think like, oh wow, now I have this like ongoing, continued relationship with Yamaha Canada, and now with Aria Guitars in Japan. Like with Aria, I'm now applying for things in Japan, and I'm hopefully going to be going there soon. And yeah, doing some shows. There's a festival that I just applied for that I'm waiting to hear back about. And if I get into that, then I'll do a little tour around there. And I feel like that makes sense. I don't have a big plan for 2026 yet. So it just like it's opened up doors. That's what it means. And it's not even like a badge of honor or anything like that, really. I felt like it's just been more of like a relationship builder and a way to like open more doors. It's less of being like a, oh, I'm a Yamaha sponsored artist or whatever. It's more just like an internal, wow, I have this awesome relationship with this company now. So that's kind of what it means. That's what it means for me. Of course, I can use it as a talking point, and it's great to mention when I'm like applying for things or whatever. But for me internally, like that's what it means.
Okay, okay. I think maybe I got like two questions, maybe three before I let you go. But tell me about, because
Yeah.
I had seen this post you made. You had intended the release strategy for this project was supposed to be strictly traditional, strictly vinyl, and at some point,
It was.
yeah.
It was supposed to be. Yeah, it was supposed to be like. Well, it kind of still is.
Okay,
Like I wanted to do something that was physical. So like I did the whole thing, and I released this first. And people could only hear the record if they bought it on physical copy, and that was back in July. So that was what I wanted to do, and I was like, "Yep, I'm only going to release on physical copy. Like you can only hear it this way or Bandcamp." And I ran with that for quite a while. And then talking with Jasper, I was like, "Okay, this album's getting some really good feedback. Like I need it to get out there more." I was like, "We need to do a campaign." I was like, "I want to get this out there." And I know that that means that if I do a campaign with like digital interviews and like online interviews and this, that people are going to want to have the album on streaming. Like, and so I actually like revolted this for a while. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. And I was like, Jasper, I can't. Like, I don't feel right about it.
yeah,
But he really helped me through this process of being like, the social media and the streaming, it doesn't define me as an artist. It's like, it doesn't mean that because I put that up there that like that's I'm like a selling out, or like because I said I was going to do it on physical copy and then I eventually put it on streaming. It's like no, I'm still trying to be discovered. And while this album is a very physical release, that's first and foremost. By putting it up on streaming, I'm not like changing that. I promote the albums at my shows. I don't say go listen to Spotify. I'm like, come see me at the merch table for your record and I'll sign it. And it has posters and it has stickers and it has all the stuff. And then in the marketing campaign that we did, like that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the intentional, physical, tangible release of
yeah,
this.
for sure.
So I'm still promoting that. And that's still like the message of this album is like support artists by buying albums. But also like, wow, it sucks to have to be an artist where that like if people want to hear this album, sometimes the only way they can hear it is to put it on their Spotify or on their Apple Music or whatever. I don't want to remove myself from any possible listening experience, especially with these like young girls who also, by the way, did buy a lot of vinyl and
Vinyl?
CDs.
Okay.
But then they're like, oh, I really want to listen to it like here in this specific scenario.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to remove myself from possible listening experiences. So I, yeah, I kind of put it up on streaming like low key.
No, but I think what I got from that process is that like when you're working through like a release strategy or branding and marketing and whatnot, it's just being nimble enough to understand that things could be fluid and that you could revise it. It's your album. You could do whatever you want to do and you could listen to feedback and stuff like that. So I just found that interesting to see how that process went for you. I had picked this up because this is like one of my favorite things to listen to on this boy here. So I say that to say this, that I'm gonna be reaching out so I could get
Yes, yes,
a
I will have one
copy
for you.
of
I will sign it and give you all this stuff.
yeah. So yeah, we'll make that work, and I love that you have engaged to this level with your artistry. So thank you very much.
Thank you for appreciating that.
No problem.
Seriously, like we need people like you that come on and ask artists and want to talk to artists about their journey and care about all these deeper things. And so I'm just thrilled to be on here today talking about all this conversation's been really awesome. And yeah, I thank you for caring so much about artists and the process.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for. I have
Yes.
one more question for you. So talk about pages. I know that oftentimes when you go into like trying to create a project or an album, that there are songs that may not make the cut. So, but you have recorded them for whatever reason. But if you were gonna add one more page for the pages, what would it be, and what is it gonna be about?
Well, there definitely are a lot of songs that are in my drafts from this time. And I can't really think of one in particular that didn't make it, but I actually have a different response. And there's a song that I wrote right around the time that we were recording. And I was like, oh, it's too late. This song isn't finished. But now I've finished it. And I wrote it when I was in Montreal at Folk Alliance International back in February. I remember I was at a party at this place called Barfly in Montreal, and I didn't really know anybody, but I like knew people from meeting them through music stuff. Like my friend Bobby Dove was there, and there was a bunch of other musicians and people. And I remember I went outside to like get some air and whatever, and I realized I was like, oh, like I can go outside and escape to myself at any time. And what I might lack in like knowing people or connections or like being set, like I didn't get up on stage. Everyone was getting up on stage. I didn't really know anybody there or like what to do. But I went outside and like wrote this song. And I went outside and I was like, um, there was a chorus. It's like, if I lose it, I can find it, take a reset, and like find yourself and find your center. And so I think I've always been able to do that, and I'm getting even better at doing that. Where like when things feel crazy on the road, or I'm alone at a party and I don't really know anyone, or I'm not super friends with anybody, I can always like find myself and find my center. And thank God I've done like work to have strong mental health, and I feel very privileged and grateful to be a strong, able person. So when things get crazy, which they do, I'm able to find myself in a room no matter what. And so that song is going to be like a follow up to the album for sure. Like I'm going to release it as a single probably in New Year. And yeah, it actually is very true to the theme of the album in like knowing yourself and trusting yourself. But I think it might actually make more sense to release it after the album, even though I wrote it at the time of doing the album. So yeah, it's about being like yeah genuine, and when in the face of adversity of like trying to meet people and be yourself and do all the hard things and get up on stage, it's just like trusting that you can come back to your like peace, you can come back to your center. And I tend to be like an anxious person and an anxious like interactor and being like, did I say the right thing, did I say goodbye, did I thank them enough times? And the song is kind of about that too, and how to like come back to the calm after those things happen. So I think it'll make sense to do it as a follow up, because this whole process has obviously been like, whoa, like there's a lot going on, and now you've caught me at the end of all of it, which is great. So like that's the energy that I've
Yeah.
had for the last year, 6 months, and now
Right.
I'm like on the other side of it, and I'm finding the calm now again.
Well, so I again, I think I'll go back. Maybe I'll tie this conversation with saying it's an amazing album. It's an amazing project, and I say that because that first song, it just hits you right in the chest. The way the album opens, I think it's one of my favorite songs as well from the record. So you have that, and then I love what you guys did in transitioning into the side B of the project. But everything that comes after, there's a lot of texture. There's a lot of intentionality that goes into the project, and right now, having done this for so many years, I'm always looking for that creativity, for that daring, for that boldness to say, hey, how can we do this stuff a little bit different? And I think that's what you guys have been able to pull off here. I'm a fan of the album, and of course, I'm a fan of yours. I still want to see you perform live. I haven't had the chance yet,
It'll happen.
but I know it's gonna happen. So, congratulations on the album itself. And all the stuff that's going to follow it. I know that it's going to open a lot more doors for you, and I'm rooting for that. So thank you for putting on a great album. I want to wish you a great, successful run, even as you continue to talk to people to promote this project. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for making good music, Maddisun.
Oh, thank you, Fa. I appreciate it so much. It's like such a journey of doing all this stuff, and now to get to reflect like this with you is just so great. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to happen next, and I'm glad that we got to share these things today. I felt really open talking to you. I mean, you're a great conversationalist and listener as well. So amazing interview.
Thank you.
That's been listening and supporting this record. Like, if you're watching this interview, thank you for being here. My family, my friends, my fans, my supporters. Yeah.
Absolutely, and maybe just one last stuff where people can go get this record. I know there's just send that out.
Yes. So you can buy the record at maddisunmusic.com, vinyl, CD, or cassette. And then you can also buy it on Bandcamp. And those are the best ways to support me. But the album is available for digital streaming across all platforms. The page is Maddisun.
Awesome. I couldn't think of a better way to end this. Thank you so much.